I live in a quiet neighborhood where nothing out of the ordinary usually happens. But one day, something scary occurred that changed my perspective forever. It was a typical afternoon. The sun was shining and kids were playing outside. I was in my room watching TV when I noticed something unusual outside my window. There, on the sidewalk, stood a strange guy. He had unkempt hair and wore tattered clothes that hung loosely on his frail frame. His eyes had a distant, unsettling look that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't help but watch him from behind my curtains, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity. As the days went by, I saw him more frequently. Sometimes he was digging through the neighborhood trash cans, and other times he would sit on a bench muttering to himself. The neighbors began to murmur about him, sharing their own uneasy feelings. Some said he was harmless, while others were convinced he was dangerous. I wasn't sure what to believe, but his presence was undeniably unsettling. One afternoon, as I was riding my bike around the block, I saw him sitting on a park bench. Gathering my courage, I decided to approach him. My heart pounded in my chest as I got closer. He glanced up, his distant eyes meeting mine. I mustered up the courage to speak. "Hi," I said, my voice trembling just a little. "Are you okay?" He looked at me for a moment before mumbling to himself again, but I couldn't make out what he was saying. I decided just to ride back home, trying to think nothing of it. When I got home, I resumed my show, but I couldn't get that guy out of my head. That night, I couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling. The image of the creepy homeless guy and his haunted eyes kept replaying in my mind. I wondered about his story, about how he ended up on the streets. He made me curious, but still creeped out by him. As the weeks passed, I continued to see him around the neighborhood, but less frequently until he just stopped coming. I eventually got over that feeling, and he became a distant memory. A month passed, and I became comfortable. My parents went to the grocery store and asked if I wanted to go. I said no, so they decided to let me stay. Looking back, that was a mistake. I remember sitting on the couch at about 7 p.m., watching YouTube, when I felt a creepy feeling come over me. I looked to my right out the curtain and saw a scraggly figure sitting towards me on a bench. It was dark, so I couldn't make out who it was, but they seemed weird. I mustered up the courage to open the door and tell him to leave. That was a mistake. As I opened the door to yell at them, they got up and just started walking towards me. So many thoughts raced through my head, but I decided on slamming and locking the door and getting the phone. As I called 911, stuff started coming through the window. He was breaking in, and I got startled and unknowingly dialed the wrong number. He started coming through the window. I ran upstairs stumbling, hoping it would end, but it kept going on. In my room there's a little window leading to the patio roof. I always thought it stupid, but it helped me beyond any expectation. I reached the top stair and ran to my bedroom, locking the door. I heard his heavy footsteps on the creaking floor getting closer, and then I heard him coming up the stairs. There was no time to wait. I had to take action. I unlocked the window and started climbing out of it. Just then he started banging on the door. I went as fast as I could, but the door started cracking. I finally got out of the window, but he wasn't too far. The door wasn't going to hold. I didn't hesitate and jumped off the patio, but didn't anticipate the height. I landed on my anklet as I heard the door bust down. It hurt to run, but I didn't know what else to do, so I ran as fast as I could to the fencergatti, fumbling the little lock until it gave way, but made a loud creaking noise. I didn't know if the man heard it, but I was gone, running for my life in the dark neighborhood where I couldn't even see 5 feet in front of me. After what felt like hours running, I made it to a house, but as I looked back, I saw a scraggly figure running at me like an animal. I was pounding on the door, and then it opened. The owner was mad at me till they saw what they later described as a distant figure about 300 feet away, running full speed towards me. They barely knew me, but could read the situation pretty good, and yanked me inside, calling 911. While on the phone, the man slammed himself against the door, punching and kicking it wildly as if possessed. I was too afraid to do anything but hide, the house owner on the phone with the operator picking up anything they could find to defend me and them. The pounding eventually stopped and turned into shattering windows upstairs from the man trying to break the windows, but they didn't have one the man could get into where we were at till it was drowned out by sirens. The noises stopped as red and blue lights light up the neighborhood. It didn't feel like a relief yet, but soon I was able to bring my nerves together and give my statement to the police. My parents finally came home, and the police told us about the homeowner's camera footage. I decided to watch it to see if I could identify him. It was the homeless man from about 1.5 months ago. The unclean hair, bonnet, scraggly. Look, I had survived a nightmare. Leave your scary stories in the comments, like and subscribe.